you doing, sir?
Fine, James. How are you doing?
Awesome. When you look at the core gentlemen who were there last year, real bulldogs, so to speak, Mr. Davis, Jablonski Green, basically your returning team, and some of the gentlemen got hurt. Just talk a little bit about some of those guys, and right now what you see with them.
Well, we had a good group of guys returning, and as the season played its way out, we got down to a small number of those gentlemen. The top guys, Jablonski was out with a shoulder surgery. Jalen Evans, foot surgery. Dwayne Nichols, both our safeties had surgeries. It was one of those deals where we had a lot of guys, who were in that particular category that were the heartbeat of our team the previous year, who did not complete the year. To give an example, Corey Fields on offense, our starting quarterback, we ended up playing our third guy in the game on Saturday. But you know what? It was a pretty good job of next man up. Almost every chance we got, we had somebody to come in and fill in that kept the level of play, up at a level that we could at least compete. We weren't quite good enough to win, but we were good enough to stay close. And it was not necessarily these guys that couldn't get us over the hump, because early in the year, even though we were pretty much full, I guess maybe our entire roster was intact. We did not necessarily do a good job even at that point of completing an assignment. We were close against FAMU. We were close. Some of the early games that we could have, and I thought we could have won. We didn't necessarily get a chance to actually complete. So, it was a year. It was kind of a lost year for the guy who's going to ask me about the one word for the season. You don't have to come on. It was disappointing. That was my word. So from that point on, we can deal with the rest of you guys up here next.
Coach, recruiting is always a beautiful thing. At the end of the day, it's South Carolina State University, it's Buddy Pough. It's one of the most decorated brands and programs in the history of HBCU. Talk a little bit about that part of it. And again, there's a lot of young men out there who want an education and they want to play football.
You're exactly right, James. There are a lot of young men out there who want to play football and not necessarily do quite as good in the classroom as we would like. So we've got to do a good job of selecting the right ones to come in here and to want to reach the standard, that we set for them academically and as far as being a part of our program is concerned. So we've got our work cut out for us. It's always interesting to see, what's available. You get two different segments of a recruiting class, the best available and position-specific needs, what we actually need as opposed to what's available. So, hopefully we can find all of those guys that we feel like we've got to have the specific needs first. And then at that point, then we're going about the task of being able to put the very best available, regardless what the position is, in place afterwards.
Coach, the Meac, there's a lot of parity there. All the teams are very, very talented. Do you feel like the format with a championship games is a good way to go? Or is it a good way just to stay with the 5 games where you just play hard each week and you just kind of make it to Atlanta that way?
Yeah, I hadn't quite figured out, and I've heard that question previous to you, James, coming on at this point. I don't know how you play a championship game with 5 schools. It takes generally, at least 10 to 12 where you can have, some sort of division, or at least, enough teams that you can say, you've got a, 1 versus 2 that way. I guess we could have a 5th game and play 10 games. Well, we could play 5 games and then the 11th game of the season, the last week of the year, like what we have now, we could go over and play, say, Howard versus Central, because they were 1 and 2 in the league, especially now that some of the other conferences have gone to the best two teams as opposed to the two division winners. I think the ACC changed to this year where they're playing Clemson versus the number 1 versus 2, regardless where they're, which division they were in. So, you know what? That might be, I don't know. I just think that there ought to be some kind of significance to win it out. In a case where if the two teams are tied like we are this year, then, I maybe could see it. So, heck, I don't know. I don't know. We'll think about it some more.
Coach, in closing, HBCU football, been around since the 1800s. The renewed spotlight, everybody's looking around, the Meac, the SWAC, all 4 conferences, but just talk about where it is. Is it in a good place? How is it? And what's your thought process as being one of the greatest coaches of all time?
I don't know about that right now. But now here's the story. We've got 4 leagues, is that right? The SIC, CIAA, MEAC, and the SWAC. Is that right? Pretty much?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I've had a chance to see a couple of the SIC schools. I don't know if I've seen any CIAA teams this year, but I can tell you that they've got a little buzz going in at that level. Benedict right here next to us is doing very well. And I think they play Wingate maybe this week for the second round of playoffs. I'm pulling for Chanis. I think he's a fantastic young football coach. And he comes out of the Dawson Odom's tree. I don't know if that's the Dawson's tree or who, but I know he worked for Dawson for a good many years. And then we got the SWAC deal going down there with Dion and FAMU, Willie Simmons. Those guys are really, really playing well at this point. So, I think that might be a way there to get the 2 best teams. You know what? I need to go down and suggest that the SWAC play the best, because that ought to be a championship game between the two. But did FAMU get in the playoffs yesterday? Anybody see that?
FAMU did not get in.
Did not get? Are you kidding me? Oh, I think that's a crime. Hey, that's what we need to be talking about today, because they were 9-2 and as good as we were ranking them in our poll from way back in the middle of the year. I thought they were a real good football team. And between FAMU and Central, I didn't know whether I want to rank FAMU 2 or Central 2, back in there, because I thought both teams were pretty equal. But you know what? I think the entire football landscape of HBCU football right now is bright. And I've really been excited by what I've seen from the actual coaching aspect of what I've seen between at every level. Last year, we had an opportunity. I don't want to talk all day here, but last year I had an opportunity to work at the Legacy Bowl, and Damon Wilson was on our staff, and then Willie Simmons and Gabe, what the heck is Gabe's last name, from down at Albany, Savannah. From Albany was on the, and we were together that whole week. And I really had a great time getting to know those guys and being able to spend some time with them in a way where you got intricately, involved with them that way. So I can tell you that it's good football coaches out there all over the place. And these guys are really putting in the time and doing a nice job with their program as far as their players are concerned, and trying to make sure they're doing a great job at academics and just general development of their players in a way that, they can go out in the world and make us all proud, which is what we all want them to be, down the road piece.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed holiday
Thanks,
week, and we'll see you in the future.